now wish I had. No, I'm not one of these women you hear about in the Bible. I wasn't raised from the dead, healed from some dreaded disease, then pour perfume on his feet. I didn't even believe. You see, these Messiah types, they come and go. That's what my husband said, and I agree. We, the children and I, were to have nothing to do with that man or the fanatics who followed him. I was in my young 20s. I was at the market, I remember, with my 2 toddlers, number 3 on the way. I was so worried that I wouldn't be able to make my purchases without coming home completely exhausted or losing one of the kids. There was commotion going on. The teacher from Nazareth, somebody shouted. I waddled over there out of curiosity. If I could just see this character, maybe I'll know what the fuss was all about, I thought. But there wasn't particularly anything attractive about the man. In fact, it took me a while to figure out which one he was. Jesus started telling some story. I didn't stick around. I didn't know what the big deal was. These people didn't have enough to do, while I, on the other hand, had plenty to do. The second time I saw Jesus, a couple years had come by, and he was in the news more than ever. There were stories of the blind being given sight, the paralyzed walking. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing about him. I was in the neighboring town helping my sister who just had her baby. News got around quickly that Jesus was in town too. My sister was so excited she was going to have her baby blessed by Jesus. I thought she was crazy, but you know how it is. You don't argue with postpartum women. We got there. Jesus was surrounded by people as usual, but suddenly my 5-year-old pulls me through the crowd. I was embarrassed because of all the attention, but shocked because my boy is usually very shy. Jesus pulled him up on his lap and said something about how we all need to be like children to see God's kingdom. I didn't understand. I just wanted to get out of there. As I turned and walked away, I heard someone call my name. I stopped, but I didn't turn around. And then he called my name again and said the oddest thing. How's that front door holding up? I turned, looked at him confused. I made your front door, he smiled. How's it holding up? My husband had hired a carpenter years before to replace our front door, but I didn't pay attention to the man. How did he remember me? Fine, I stammered. The front door is fine. I turned around shaking. I didn't tell the whole truth. That door was perfect. It was the most beautiful thing in our house. In fact, it wasn't uncommon for visitors to comment on it. My heart was pounding. I prayed my son would forget and not tell Daddy. Well, he didn't tell Daddy, but he didn't forget either. The man was crucified several months later, and we thought things would die down. But then suddenly his followers started making outrageous claims about him being alive and rising to the sky. The group just kept growing. Christians, they call themselves. 20 years later, my son, a tall, handsome man by now, came to us to tell us that he had decided to be one of these Christians. I don't know how to explain what that was like for us, but just imagine your son telling you he has AIDS. It was a death sentence for sure. I watched as a beautiful person, my own flesh and blood, boarded a ship daily. That spread the word, whatever that meant. 16 months later, we received word that our son was dead. Thrown into the lion's den in one of those Romans horde arenas for entertainment. Now, I had reason to hate Jesus, and I did so with a passion. And that front door, that beautiful front door that was once the source of such joy and pride, became the object of my wrath, and I loathed it. Many a times I slammed it with all my might, pulling it right off its hinges. But it just stood there, sturdy, mocking me. So consumed did I become with my hate that it extended to the people around me. My own family avoided me. When my daughter and her husband came to us to tell us that they too had decided to follow Jesus, I thought I'd die. Life was over. At least I wanted it to be. But that daughter of mine was so determined to change my mind. She kept loving and caring for me, even when I bitterly disowned her. She said, Jesus loves me. He died for me. She even had the gall to say that I would see my son again if I would just believe. But still, this once self-absorbed, somewhat rebellious girl was so changed in her spirit, my heart couldn't help but be softened. I don't know how to describe it because it wasn't one big conversation, but little by little over time, I too came to have faith in Jesus. And though my faith was never put to the test the way my son's was, I believed he died for me first. I guess that's why I'm so bewildered by your generation. See, in my days, you knew who the Christians were. There was no question. But as I look out to your social culture, it's not so clear. It's muddied. I once heard a man who claimed to be a Christian, a leader of Christians, say, Jesus said that I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father except through me. Some people believe he meant just that, and we say good for them. Others of us believe that Jesus would applaud any man who came to him by any means. Beautiful, right? Not to me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand up and say, excuse me, if there are other ways, can you please explain this? What was the cross all about if there are other ways? Why would Jesus say such a thing if there are other ways? Is he a liar? Deluded, maybe. And if he's a liar or deluded, then why do you call yourself one of his own? How can I help you understand? Jesus loves you. He died on the cross because there are no other ways. So please, please don't spit in his face by suggesting there are. I didn't say that, of course. I remained respectful. I cried instead. Yet I'm puzzled by what I see out here. It's all so casual. Oh, it's Holy Week. Let's go to church if we can get going on time. Hey, let's get a movie afterwards. And you do your Christian duty and get on with your life. I'm sorry, I don't mean to preach. I'm just trying to understand. Maybe you're still investigating and haven't decided to believe. I can handle that. I've been there. Or maybe you've looked at all the evidence and you decided you're not going to believe ever. I can handle that too. But please, please do not treat the death of God's Son and my son with indifference. I saw him and didn't believe. For those of you who haven't seen him and believe, you're truly blessed. And this is for you. And there is no other way.